High school sports, we've got it covered. Overtime starts now.
Hello and welcome to Overtime. I'm Scott Lever.
And I'm Drew Collins. 9 weeks of regular season football were not enough for us, and we're back for more.
Playoff football open tonight around the state line, and right here at home, we're going to bring you some of that action, and we'll look ahead to tomorrow's matchups.
Tim Bailey will join us to discuss the Nick 10 teams that are in the playoffs, and in our Spotlight segment, we sit down with Byron's top Tiger, Caden Considine.
Getting into the playoffs is a big deal for every football team. It was a really big deal, though, this year for the Jefferson Jayhawks.
They made the school's first playoff appearance in 32 years. It went down in Chicago. The 5-4 Jayhawks took on 8-1 Brother Rice of the Chicago Catholic League. Brother Rice's Army quarterback C.J. Gray slings it to 5-star sophomore Cameron McGee. McGee has offers from Ohio State, Oregon, Bama, and basically any school in the country, and he showed you why there. And if you're going to Army as a quarterback, you better be able to run the ball, and C.J. Gray shows the wheels there. Jefferson's offense would slash their first big play when Jaden Williams leans on Mike Townsend. He goes for a big gain before being shoved out of bounds. Following that, Jaden Williams fights forward and breaks a few tackles to get into Brother Rice territory. But unfortunately for the Jayhawks, that drive would end with a sack for a turnover on downs from Braden Parks and King Liggins combining for the sack. Liggins is going to be a Fighting Illini, and Parks is an ESPN top 300 player and a 4-star. Brother Rice will get the ball back, and they will score again. The 7th-ranked receiver in the state, Lucas Strang, walks in for the TD, and after that, another quick pass for another touchdown. Brother Rice defeated Jefferson 57-0.
The Harlem Huskies were the other Nick 10 team that took the field tonight, and they're Halloween orange. Actually, just they're Harlem orange, but hey, it's Halloween. They hosted Chicago Mather of the Chicago Public League. The Rangers came in with a record of 6-3, but the Chicago Public League is a basketball league, not a football league. Some good Harlem defense early. Big number 68, Jaden Romero, gets the tackle for loss. Now, my pick to click for the Huskies tonight was LeBron McClellan out there playing cornerback on this play on defense. The Mustang's going to pass. It's headed his way, and LeBron's got the pick. And we all know that LeBron has the speed and athleticism to do this. Take it all the way back for the pick six. On the Huskies' next possession, Dwayne Broom takes the hand up, and he says, "Get away from me," to the Mustangs defender. That's a great 27-yard TD there by Broom. Still in the first quarter, Braxton Fawcett going to work outside the pocket. Little toss to Jackson Cook. And Cook will do the rest. It was 20-0. Check this out. Braxton Fawcett has a fan club. The sign says, "Our QB is one in a million." I like that. Next, Fawcett going to float a short pass to Finn Stovall. He goes right over the middle. That's a 49-yard TD. And then comes the home run swing from the Nick 10 baseball MVP. Second quarter, Ladarius Foster puts on a show. Starts left and says, "On second thought, I'll take door number 2. And he took it all the way. That's going to be a touchdown. 34-0 at that point. Harlem shuts out Chicago Mather 62-0. We're joined now by Nick 10 analyst Tim Bailey. Tim, this was a major contrast from last year for the Huskies. They opened last year with Mount Carmel, maybe the best team in the state.
Absolutely.
And now a weak opponent tonight. But even though it was a weak opponent, still a nice little confidence boost there for the Huskies.
Yeah, I think it was, particularly coming off that sour loss against Belvedere North last week. I think they rebounded. I think they got their identity back. I'm pretty sure, they probably would have actually wanted some type of adversity tonight as they get ready for that second round. But what they did tonight, they just played well on both sides of the ball. Again, Mather wasn't really a great team, but, a W is a W right now at this time of the year.
Tim, you kind of hinted at it there. What's the downside of the Huskies having such a lopsided game here early?
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. They draw a team, out of the Public League of Chicago and Mather. Mather didn't really look good tonight. I think coaches from Harlem would agree. I don't know how much they learned from this game because, again, it was a subpar performance on Mather's behalf. But hopefully Harlem can continue to rise to the occasion week in and week out and be ready for whoever they play.
Let's get your thoughts on the Jayhawks. We knew this one was going to be a tough one tonight against Brother Rice.
Yeah, again, you got to take your hat off to Jefferson. What they were able to do this year, getting in after a 32-year drought. The drought's out of their mouth. They finally got hydrated, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But again, I think what they probably learned, what a great team looks like in the state of Illinois, and Brother Rice. Again, Brother Rice is they are who they are for a reason. I know those kids down there work really hard, and hopefully, Jefferson's the kids that'll be actually that are juniors now. Hopefully they learn from this, and then they can get back in the weight room in the next couple of weeks and start to actually focus in on just really developing, because you see here on this film, Brother Rice has some big dudes, man.
Oh, yeah.
Some big boys, and they're going somewhere. And they're going somewhere for a reason, because they put that work in during the summer.
Yeah, the weight room, I think, will be needed, and hopefully they'll show those improvements next year.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll have more with Tim later on and the rest of the Nick 10 teams that will play tomorrow.
Up next, we're going to check out 3 big Northern teams who got a piece of playoff action tonight: Oregon, Byron, and Dixon, plus a trip to Marengo.
Playoff teams always enjoy going up against someone different in the postseason, but that doesn't always happen. Sometimes conference rivals are brought back together. That
happened tonight in Byron, where the Tigers and the Oregon Hawks met for the second time this year. Little Halloween action going on there on the Byron sideline. Like that little pool card. And a whole lot of Caton-Considine action happening on the field. Little counterplay here by the Tigers offense, and Considine, whereas he set and sailed downfield the other way. That's a 70-yard touchdown on the opening possession for Byron. Considine scored 3 touchdowns in the first half. Byron's next possession, more counter action. This time it's going to be Dawson Criddle who has the football, and he's going in for the touchdown. Nobody in white near him. Oregon next on offense, Benny Olade going to pass it. Caton Salisbury makes a great adjustment for the catch, and he has a touchdown for the Hawks. And the Tigers answered with a short touchdown by Cole Aiken. Then watch this bloop kickoff by David Cunningham trying to avoid the big return. The ball caroms and it's scooped up by J.J. Edmondson. He takes it in for a Byron touchdown. And here comes J.J. on the sideline. I'm not sure he knows what happened on that play, but it's a touchdown anyway. By that point, the Tigers had done everything in the first half but throw a TD pass, so Andrew Talbert took care of that, hitting Dawson Criddle there. He was determined not to be stopped. Another touchdown there for the Tigers. Byron led 50-7 at halftime. Byron defeats Oregon for the second time this year, 63-15.
The Big Northern Conference runner-up Dixon also took the field tonight for a home game.
The Dukes hosted Woodstock North in the Class 4A game. Tyler Sorensen has that one for us. Tyler?
Yeah, that's right, guys. The Dukes dominated everyone in the Big Northern this season except for Byron. And they had some high hopes for the playoffs, especially with the way their star running back has been playing. Now, Landon Carnegie rushed for a school record 447 yards just last week against Genoa Kingston. But to start off, though, it would be the defense to show out as Woodstock quarterback Parker Hollihan looks to throw, but it gets intercepted by Dixon's Owen Belzer. Now, later on that drive for the Dukes, quarterback Jagger Kemp goes under center for the push, trying to get the first down, but wait a second, he gets out of the pile and he scores. Dukes up 7-0. Now, Dukes with the ball once again later on, deep in Woodstock territory, as just give to Carnegie as he looks to be down just barely, but the whistle doesn't blow as he shoves his way forward for the score. Now, one thing I noticed, these refs had very late whistles the entire game, guys. Now, after a 3-and-out for Woodstock, why not give it again to Landon as he is finally able to break the big one? Now, he would get tackled down at the 2-yard line, and they would score on the following play, making it 21-0. Now, Woodstock on offense looking for something, but quarterback Parker Hollihan gets talked down by Dixon's Benny Barada as they would punt once again. Now, Dixon looking and wanting to score one more time before half. Fake to Landon as Kemp takes it himself all the way for the score, going up 28-0 before halftime as Dixon shuts out Woodstock North 45-0. Now, next week, the Dukes will face either Sterling or Coal City, but they will have to wait to figure it out as those two teams play tomorrow in Coal City at 4 p.m. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Tyler. We're off to Marengo now for more 4A action. Marengo against Peoria, Notre Dame. Let's jump to the first quarter. Irish running back Benjamin Lutz finds nothing but the end zone in front of him. 2-point conversion is no good. We're going to jump back to the Irish. Blake Maxwell gets out into the open field, and he takes this one 66 yards all the way for the score, and that will make this one 13-0. Second quarter, jump to Marengo. It's going to be Sam Vandello. Fires over to Parker Mandelke. Mandelke breaks some tackles and reaches in for 6. Peoria, Notre Dame defeats Marengo 35-21.
Also in Class 4A, Rochelle loses a tough one to Geneseo 16-14. In Class 3A, Richmond Burton defeated North Boone 49-0.
Before we do anything else, it's time to reveal our Athlete of the Week.
Athlete of the Week is brought to you by McCloskey, Kessler & Associates. Our finalists this week were Jefferson receiver Mike Townsend, Dixon running back Landon Carnegie, Belvedere North running back Ben Bucher, and Byron quarterback Andrew Talbert.
And the winner is Ben Bucher. Ben received 40% of the votes. He had that big 3-touchdown game last Friday against Harlem. Congratulations, Ben. We have our spotlight story on Byron's Caden Constantine coming up shortly.
But next, we look ahead to tomorrow's playoff action, which includes Guilford getting a rematch against another Chicago Catholic League powerhouse. The Guilford Vikings playoff experience last year was short and not very sweet.
The Vikings were eliminated in a big way in the opening round by Chicago Catholic League powerhouse St. Rita 45-3. That game was in Chicago. Tomorrow, the Vikings will get a rematch, but this time at Swanson Stadium. Guilford hasn't lost since week 1 of the season, where they played at Belvedere North. So the Vikings have been building confidence. They know they're a better team than they were last year, and they intend to show it Saturday against St. Rita.
Last year they humbled us. They're a different team than last year, and we're a different team than last year, and we're really excited for the opportunity to show what we can do.
No, it's definitely not just another game. We didn't really get to show exactly all we had last year against them. We weren't really a complete team. I say this team is more dominant in a way, and we performed in big games, and we showed out in big games, and we're ready for that adversity again.
Tim, you spent some time this week watching video of St. Rita. What do you think they have, and how do you think this matchup will go down?
I think St. Rita's they're a good team. I don't think they were the team they were last year at this time of the season, but they're a good team. They got some really big guys up front. They got really good quarterback play. They got really great running backs. What I'm concerned about, how well will actually Guilford's offensive line, defensive line play tomorrow night? Because again, I think that's the actual strength of St. Rita, their defensive offensive line.
Okay, yeah, Guilford's got the skill guys, but can those linemen come through? All right, tomorrow afternoon, 2 more Nick 10 teams will take the field. We'll just leave this graphic up here for a minute. Nick 10 champion Belvedere North will host 5-4 Chicago Noble of the Chicago Public League for a 5A game, and Hononegah will travel to LaGrange to take on state powerhouse Nazareth Academy of the Chicago Catholic League. All right, Tim, let's start with Belvedere North at home against a public school team from Chicago Noble. We saw Harlem had no trouble tonight with a public school team.
Yeah, I don't think Belvedere North will have any issues. Belvedere North right now, they're on a mission. Coach Beck's got his boys really playing at a really high clip right now. I think they're hitting their strides right now. So again, I can see really Belvedere North blowing the doors wide open over and getting a big victory over Noble.
Hononegah, a much tougher one on the road at Nazareth Academy, and I believe Nazareth's only loss was to Mount Carmel. So Nazareth Academy, we know, is always strong. Yeah. That's where J.J. McCarthy went to school. Yeah. All right. Well, Hono, what do they got to do to, put up a fight in this one here?
Well, they can't show up like they did last week against Belvedere. That's what they can't do. They got to know they belong, and they got to come out, and they just got to be a different program than we saw, over the last 9 or 10 weeks here at the Nick 10. So, again, don't take anything away from Nazareth. I think Hononegah knows they got a challenge ahead of them. Nazareth is a darn good football team, but I think Hononegah is going to really have to play their A game in order to be able to come out and even play with Nazareth.
All right, folks, you can get more in-depth Nick 10 football information from Tim on the Bailey Pod. You can find a new episode on YouTube every Thursday. This week, Tim is joined by Jefferson head coach Cody Kazaza. Tim, thanks, and of course, we'll see you again next week.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
All right, there's more action tomorrow in the small schools. The state's top-ranked team in 1A, the Stockton Blackhawks, will be at home hosting Galena. Stockton was amazing during the regular season, winning all 9 of its games. One of those was against Galena in Week 6, 30-12.
Not far from Stockton, Lena Winslow will host Forreston in another NUIC rematch of NUIC teams. These two teams played each other in the season opener. Lee Wynn dominated that game 50-12. Alex Schlichting rushed for 151 yards and 3 touchdowns. Aiden Wild rushed for 145 yards and 1 touchdown. These two schools have met plenty of times in the playoffs over the years.
Another NUIC team in action tomorrow will be Eastland Pearl City. The Wildcats will be down near Peoria at Farmington Farmington is undefeated. Duke Peck of the NUIC will play a night game, a 6 p.m. kickoff in Class 3A at Johnsburg. The Skyhawks are 7-2. This should be a good game.
Over in Class 5A, Sycamore will play at Cary Grove. That's a 1 o'clock kickoff. An 8-man football playoffs tomorrow. Aldine Hebron plays at South Beloit. Hiawatha takes on Polo. Macon Meridian will be at Milledgeville, and Amboy will be at home facing Milford. Up next, we have our Spotlight feature story.
In Byron, they call him Cato. He is the second-generation Considine who was picked up where his father left off. When a team runs up against a Considine in any sport, they know they're in for a battle. Byron's senior Caden Considine excels in 3 sports, but it's football where he has proven to be extra special as a player and a leader. He's the focus of our Overtime Spotlight segment tonight, brought to you by Rockford Career College. Considine has started on Byron's varsity football team at fullback, linebacker, and safety since his freshman year. One of his most vivid memories is of his first varsity game, an overtime loss to Stillman Valley.
And that was kind of my welcome to varsity moment. It's not one of the happier ones, but I'm kind of happy that happened because I get it's welcoming me to varsity. It's telling me that not everything's going to go my way at this level.
His sophomore year, Considine and the Tigers reached the pinnacle of high school football, a state championship, a blowout victory over Mount Carmel for the 3A title. That championship probably wouldn't have happened if Considine hadn't made a huge play the week before in the semifinals at Lombard-Montini. Montini was leading by 2 points and driving with 8 minutes to play. That's when Considine picked off a pass and returned it 45 yards. A few minutes later, he scored the go-ahead and winning touchdown.
Now that you remind me of that, that was pretty cool that I intercepted that ball. Obviously turning the tables of that game, being able to be the one in that spot, it felt great. I just remember the feeling after that game. It felt like I was in a car wreck, man. That game was something else.
Then there was the rematch last year with Montini in the second round of the playoffs. Byron came up just short on a 2-point conversion attempt with 10 seconds to play that would have won the game. Are the highs and lows of sports something that is a little addictive, that you enjoy about being an athlete?
Yeah, obviously the lows suck, but those are things that you talk about 40 years from now that you can, with all your buddies at the reunions. In the moment it sucks, but they're memories that you make with your friends. And then the highs are obviously amazing.
Considine was first-team All-State his sophomore year. Last year, he missed a huge chunk of the season with injuries. This year, he's been healthy and playing at a high level. There was the win over Duke Peck in Week 6 when he rushed for 215 yards and 4 touchdowns. In Week 7 at Genoa Kingston, Considine rushed for 323 yards on only 13 carries, and he scored 4 total touchdowns. Football has been a part of Considine's life since the day he was born. This is his first NFL game in his mother Nicole's arms at a Philadelphia Eagles game. His dad, Sean, was playing for the Eagles. Sean played safety and special teams for 8 seasons in the NFL. His final season, he won a Super Bowl with the Baltimore Ravens in New Orleans. Caden was about 6 years old then.
I just remember after that game, our whole family got to go on the field, and I was crawling around through the confetti, and I just remember seeing how happy my mom was, how happy my grandma was. They were all crying, and that's just a feeling that you don't understand as a kid, but looking back on it now, it's just really special.
Just as his father did, Caden wears jersey number 37. A lot of people in your shoes who have a famous football dad might want to try to break away and make sure you forge your own identity, but here you are wearing number 37, which he wore. Tell me about that decision to wear that number. Was that totally up to you?
Yeah, obviously you want to be your own player and all that, but the kind of dad that he's been for me, the kind of person that he is, I really look up to him, and I like to honor that through, kind of molding myself into the kind of man that he was.
What's the most important thing your dad has taught you?
His big thing is surround yourself with people who are going to tell you the truth, not what you want to hear. I feel like that's great. I want people, even if it's hard to tell me, I want them to tell me how it is, what I need to fix, and all that. I want them to be upfront with me, because that's how we ultimately get better.
Caden isn't only a football player, he's also a starter on the basketball team, and he's been first-team all-conference in baseball. He's also great around little kids. He has 4 younger siblings, lots of little cousins, and other kids in the community who look up to him, whom he interacts with. How conscious are you of setting a good example for your younger siblings, for your cousins, for all the little kids in Byron?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I put myself in their shoes. Like back when I was coming to these football games, like I wanted to be those football players, man, like Tyler Ellsbury and all them. I was over there pretending that I was them playing on the field, over getting in trouble for playing football during the game because I wanted to be them so bad. So I think about that every time I'm around those little kids. Like, you got to set a good example for them because they're the next generation. They look up to you, and you want to make that a good experience for them.
Caden's parents lived in several major cities during Sean's NFL career, but they returned to Sean's hometown of Byron to settle down. They felt this was the best place to raise their family. Did they make the right choice? Are you happy that you were raised in a little town like this?
Yeah, man, I love Byron. I think I want to come back here one day because, you know, we got all of our family here and all that. But, yeah, Byron's a great place because I've been to big cities and all that. It's fun and all, but I don't know if I could do that every day. I just really like the culture that we have here, and it's just really special.
Caden's a young man who has his head on straight. He works hard, and I love the way he interacts with those little kids. That tells me all I need to know about his character.
He's special in a lot of ways. We'll see how his senior year finishes out for him and his teammates, not just in football, but in all of his sports.
We'll be right back.
It's time for our Napleton Auto Group Play of the Night.
The top play caught on our cameras. Oregon, Byron going at it tonight. And Byron, that little pop-up kickoff there by the Tigers. The ball is loose. J.J. Evanson somehow scoops it up in the blink of an eye, and he takes it into the end zone for the TD. By the way, J.J.'s going to go to the Illini game tomorrow. We got a game invite, so he'll be down there for that Illini-Rutgers game, and he can tell everybody down there about this great play he made. That is the Napleton Auto Group Play of the Night. We're going to have another playoff edition of Overtime next Friday night. Fox is a college football game between Northwestern and USC on at 8 o'clock. So we'll be on after that at around 11:30.
And a reminder, you can find highlights and scores anytime on our website, mystateline.com. That does it for this show.
Thanks for watching and enjoy your weekend.